Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here. Now, before I begin this latest thoughts video, I want to give you guys a massive update on what's going on with, of course, the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA strikes that I actually did previously mention in, of course, my thoughts video on Barbie that I did a couple months ago that I've actually been corresponding with these thoughts videos as of recently, hands down, So yeah, if you may not have heard the news, the Writers Guild of America have finally got their strike settled as of last week, and they're now getting themselves ready to get themselves back to work, hands down, and all I can say, hands down, is that I am really proud of course, all this, and I'm glad the strike for them finally got settled, hands down, so yeah. But that doesn't mean it's fully over just yet. We still got pretty much the members of SAG-AFTRA and, of course, all the actors that are still currently on the picket line, hands down. Which is why I actually did state that I'm actually going to keep the links that I have provided from both the Writers Guild of America and, of course, SAG-AFTRA to help correspond with, of course, the strikes that are going down while I continue on with my thoughts videos, hands down. So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep the links for plenty of information on the strikes, as well as, of course, the entertainment community fund for you to check out and donate to help out these people with their strikes, hands down, just for you to check out for sure. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to keep the links there right up until the strikes get settled, and so far one of them has already got settled, and we still got another one that's already waiting to get settled as well for sure. So yeah. Just want to give you guys a massive update on that. So yeah, we're still going to keep on doing what we do normally, but we're still also going to leave the links provided for you to check out to still correspond with what we got because of the ongoing strikes, hands down. So yeah, I hope all of you guys understand that. Thanks for watching this message, and of course, as always, I hope you enjoy my latest thoughts video on Saw X. So yeah, take care, guys.
Hello, Ackley. I want to play a game. For nearly 2 decades now, the Saw films have become a massive staple in terms of horror and in terms of being a new Halloween classic. And with this latest one that had just came out, it has now joined in all the other films. Now it is time for you to finally tackle upon this latest film, for you have an interesting record of seeing horror movies in the past. Your aim is to talk about this film and give out your analysis on it now that you finally got the chance to see it. If you succeed, you will walk away with your life. Will you find any good quality in this film to make it equally as good as the first film? Or will you find it insufferable, much like all the other sequels that came out beforehand? You have one video to give out your verdict on this one. Live or die. Make your choice.
You saw that too, right? Just this thing that's hijacked the intro of this video? Wow. I can't believe it's come to this. I can't believe I have to talk about one of these films right about now. But I guess seeing how you have seen the video message from him pretty much at the beginning of this video, I suppose I have no choice but to play through with this game as of now. So, alright, so anyways, hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here with a brand new thoughts video for all of you guys, and well, if you couldn't tell right about now, it's that time of year again, October, which means, yep, it looks like the cold weather is finally kicking in. As of now, the long sleeve shirts are finally back in commission, and of course, more importantly, Halloween is just right around the corner as of now, So, yeah, looks like, if anything, I know I'm really excited for Halloween this year, much like I do every single year, by far, hands down, So, yeah, and of course I know, hands down, October is gonna be a really busy month for me, for sure, because, well, I've got Retro GameCon coming up this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it, hands down. Always gonna be a fun blast, hands down, and of course, I've got a good batch of course, pretty much a few selected movies that I'm actually slated to go see for sure, and well, since we're already in October, and it is actually pretty much we're getting close to right around Halloween, I say this is a good month for this genre of movies for sure. So yeah, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and kickstart the month of October for sure, and of course the month of terror. As Chris would like to describe it, but mainly the pretty much the month to celebrate the pretty much the witching hour for sure. But I think you pretty much get the idea at this point. I think it's about time that we kickstart this month by seeing, of course, well, a horror movie hands down. So yeah, seeing how October is, of course, where Halloween is, of course, happening for sure. I say this month is actually a pretty good time for, of course, horror movies as of now, and I know I made no secret that if you have seen my thoughts videos so far, I have actually seen a pretty good amount of horror movies for sure, hands down, and yeah, I think it's pretty much fair on, of course, that front for sure, so yeah, and I guess for the case of this thoughts video, this one I'm going to be talking about here today, boy, part of me is actually dreading for this to finally come. But I guess if anything, I suppose I have no other choice but to finally get through it for sure. So yeah, I think it's about time that we finally get this going for sure. So yeah, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and start off this month with, of course, the latest movie that I did manage to officially go see right around earlier today by the time I'm recording this video, hands down. So yeah. I think that's what I'm going to be talking about here today. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into, of course, this latest movie that I want to talk about. And of course, if anything, as described by, of course, a certain individual at the beginning of this video, I think it's time to play a game. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the one thing I can give. So if you could already guess on, of course, what I'm talking about, hands down, then good for you. But in case you don't, I'm, of course, going to be talking about the latest movie that had just came out very recently, which is none other than Saw X. So yeah, that's of course what I'm going to be talking about here today. It's not only the latest movie that had just came out not too long ago, but it is of course the latest installment in of course the well-known horror movie franchise that's been around for nearly 2 decades now, which is of course Saw. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on of course that front. Alright. Alright, so before I could go ahead and talk about this latest movie, I think it's actually quite fitting that I should probably talk about, well, the Saw movies entirely, And of course, if anything, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a big fan of course, the Saw movies, hands down, but I'm not saying they're bad films entirely, no. I mean, I do get the idea that they really want to probably make it as probably way more intense than any other horror movie that's been out for some time, and it's even garnered a reputation of being one of the new Halloween classics that's been around for some time for sure, to which yeah, I do fully get hands down, but I wouldn't necessarily find myself fascinated with them. Pretty much almost on the similar lines of course, plenty of the other horror movies that I've actually seen over the years for sure. Both the old classics and the ones that came out very recently for sure. So yeah. Not really a big fan of the Saw movies, hands down, but I do understand that they have garnered a massive following, and why a lot of people are really intrigued by, of course, all of them, hands down, so. And of course, in light of course, this latest movie that just came out, I did manage to finally go through all of the movies, hands down, to which I won't describe it in full detail, but it was, of course, a really intense one to get through, hands down. Almost like I didn't want to go through all of them, but I had to because I had no other choice, hands down, so. But yeah, I guess if anything, to best describe all the Saw movies that came out for sure, well, the first Saw movie, I actually do think it's a pretty decent horror flick, hands down. It's not necessarily the best I've seen, nor one of my favorites, but I do find myself quite intrigued on, of course, what's going on, and it does have some really unique ideas, hands down, for sure, and yeah, that's what I do find fascinating about the first Saw movie, hands down, to which, yeah, is probably the best way I can describe it. Not necessarily a great film by all means, but I do think it's a pretty decent one nonetheless, for sure. And as for pretty much all the sequels that came out afterwards, well, I think if anything, they range from bad to just insufferable to say the least, hands down, so. So, yeah. That's pretty much my short sum up on all the Saw movies that came out for sure. The first film is a pretty decent one, while the majority of the sequels, they range from bad to just insufferable at best, with, yeah, I guess to me, probably I think the worst ones, for me personally, would definitely have to be both Saw 5 and, of course, Saw 3D. Yeah, the latter of which is also known as Saw the Final Chapter. Well, it would have been the final chapter if both Jigsaw and Spiral didn't came out afterwards, but I digress, hands down, for sure, and but yeah, that's pretty much my short sum up on all the Saw movies, hands down. In fact, if anything, with the first 7 installments that came out, I did remember from 2004 all the way until 2010 that they actually did came out every single year around Halloween, for sure, to which, yeah, it's really quite surprising. Pretty much those 6 to 7 years entirely, I think there was, of course, never a Halloween without a Saw film, hands down, for sure, So, yeah, I think it's, well, I can't say, of course, at that front, but yeah, thankfully, I think with the latest ones that came out, with, of course, Jigsaw, Spiral, and this film, we haven't actually seen them come out around Halloween quite often. It's only like, probably they only come out like a few years apart from each other, for sure, but it's a little bit more reduced down compared to the first 7 installments, hands down, which I do find it quite surprising, hands down, and it's probably for the best, for sure, so. But yeah, I guess since after going through the pretty much all the Saw movies that came out before this one, I think I know I did have my doubts on, of course, this latest Saw movie that had just came out, but I do want to give it a fair shot to see if there's something that I can find a value. And I do find it quite surprising because this film has actually got some pretty great reviews from critics and audiences, and so far it's actually doing quite well in terms of box office returns, hands down. Which is actually quite surprising because it's because it actually did came out around the time the new Paw Patrol movie that just came out for sure, but I'm not even gonna bother talking about that one, and in case you're wondering if I will, sorry guys, I sadly won't, hands down, so my apologies. So. But yeah, nevertheless, I do want to see on what this new Saw film will, of course, have to offer to see if it'll be probably better or worse than any of the previous sequels that came out beforehand. And, well, thanks to the kind people over at Crown City Cinemas, to which, by the way, they actually got their concession stand renovating and stuff, which actually looks amazing, by the way. So if you do plan on hitting up that movie theater, definitely check out some of the new changes and stuff. It actually looks awesome, hands down, for sure. So yeah, pretty much thanks to those guys, I did manage to go in to actually see this new Saw movie that just dropped as of now. So yeah, and of course, I just got back from seeing it not too long ago, and I guess a lot of you guys may be wondering, what do I think of this latest one now that I got the chance to see it? Well, I'm not gonna lie, and I know I'm gonna sound crazy for me to say this, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm completely serious. I actually think this movie is actually pretty damn good, hands down. Yeah, I guess if anything, taking pretty much the previous Saw sequels out of the equation, this, I have to say, is probably, to me, I think the best of the Saw movies that I've actually seen since the first film, hands down. So yeah, literally, what the previous sequels got wrong, this movie actually got right, hands down. It actually pretty much knows how to be an actual movie for starters, but it really does keep up with the idea of course, pretty much the Saw movies, hands down, for sure, and yeah, to which, yeah, I guess in the end, actually really does make it a pretty good movie, hands down. Not necessarily the best I've actually seen, but still a good movie, hands down, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright. Alright, so now that I've actually got the short version out of the way, I think I might as well go ahead and talk about everything that I need to talk about for sure. So for starters is, of course, the story for, of course, this movie. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, story-wise, I actually do think this movie actually has a really engaging story from what I've actually seen. Literally from, of course, if anything, I know with the previous Saw movies, they don't rely on story or characters, to which, by the way, the latter I will get to later on for sure. I'm not gonna lie, I do think pretty much, if anything, I do know with the previous pretty much the previous Saw films, they want to get to the death traps and the pretty much the deaths rather quickly, hands down, without giving much time to establish a story. But thankfully, this movie managed to do the latter exactly that, hands down. I was actually fully engaged on, of course, what goes on story-wise, hands down, and of course, how it's structured out and how it's set up, and leading to, of course, the massive build-up that we're actually getting to, hands down. And I think this movie really did a fine job in doing exactly that. Yeah, I think it's probably what I think should go down for, of course, an actual movie, hands down, but excuse me, but still retain the idea of course, the first Saw movie and utilizing it to its advantage, hands down, which I do find it all the more fascinating, hands down. So oh, sorry about that, I must have breathed down the wrong throat for a second, so. But yeah, that's actually what I do find interesting with the film's story. It knows exactly how to do exactly that, and I find it to be all the more engaging, hands down, So yeah, that's of course what I can say for, of course, the story for, of course, this movie. And of course, for the writing, I have to say, yeah, I think I'm not gonna lie, I think the writing in this movie, for while I don't think it's probably Academy Award-winning material, hands down, I do think the story in this is actually very well structured out, and it is written out quite well, in my opinion, hands down. Literally from what I've actually seen, every bit of dialogue and everything else that you could imagine, it really is all the more engaging writing-wise, hands down. It's almost like the people who wrote the scripts to the previous films finally got all those angry notes from the people who actually saw the previous films and decided, well, let's fix it. So yeah, that's actually what I do find quite interesting, hands down. I do think the writing, of course, this film really does help out well and even work well to the film's advantage, hands down, which actually is something I couldn't get enough of, hands down. But yeah, I think it's what I can say in terms of course, pretty much both the story and the writing, hands down, for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's pitch perfect by all means, but I think they really nailed it on the head, hands down. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front.
Alright.
Okay, so now that I've actually got the story and the writing out of the way, I think I might as well go ahead and talk about the next couple of things I need to talk about, which are, of course, for starters, obviously the characters, and yeah, I think if anything, for me personally, I do think the characters in this movie, my god, I think they're probably the best I've actually seen, hands down, for sure. Each and every single one of them has actually got some really great sense of development thrown into it, and I think it is actually really quite incredible, hands down, for sure. Yeah, with every single bit of development, I actually do find the characters actually all the more likable and interesting, hands down, almost like pretty much the ones that I absolutely hate. I do want to see them get their comeuppance, hands down, while the ones I really do admire, yeah, the ones that I love and admire, I actually do find myself rooting for, hands down, for sure. So yeah, I guess about anything, I do think pretty much some characters that you may or may not have seen coming, for sure, but I think this film really does utilize the characters quite well, hands down. So whenever you actually want to feel for them, you actually do feel for them, hands down, and whenever one of them dies, you really feel like they die, hands down. But yeah, that's, of course, what I could say on, of course, the characters, hands down, and of course, for another aspect, the actors that came on board to play all these characters, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think they are brilliantly well casted, and they each turned out some pretty good performances, in my opinion. Not necessarily great by all means, but I do think they did pull off some good performances nonetheless, for sure. In fact, excuse me, so yeah, probably I think the strongest character that I always find myself getting pretty much roped onto, hands down, would definitely have to be the main villain of course, all the Saw movies, hands down. Well, pretty much 9 out of the 10 of the Saw movies, because, well, Spiral from the Book of Saw didn't have him for sure, but I digress. But it's, of course, mainly the main villain of course, the majority of course, all these films, hands down, which is, of course, pretty much Tobin Bell playing, yeah, pretty much Tobin Bell playing John Kramer, aka the Jigsaw Killer, hands down. So yeah, pretty much of anything for the good majority of course, the movie, I actually really do feel for him, hands down, that he's actually eating away from, of course, a massive disease he's diagnosed with, and he's doing whatever he can to get himself cured of that, despite not having much time left, hands down. And when he actually does discover the truth, he actually does track down the people who actually did him wrong and actually set him up, and of course, all the death traps that he actually created, hands down, to which, yeah, I know it's kind of odd for me to actually say that I'm actually rooting towards the villain of course, all the Saw movies, hands down, but for the case of this movie, I say this actually does work well here, and I actually do find myself rooting for him a whole lot more, and yeah, I do understand his motivations, and of course, pretty much the stress he had to go through, which of course would lead to him trying to set up these death traps to kill his victims, hands down. To which, yeah, I do find it actually really incredible, and I'm glad this movie actually really did exactly that. In fact, if anything, I do, knowing plenty of other horror movies I've actually seen, I do find myself rooting for the main characters and trying to stop the villain that's trying to hunt them down and kill them, hands down. But I guess for the case of Saw X, I actually do think it is one exception where you are, of course, rooting for the main villain, hands down, to which, yeah, I do find it actually really incredible, and I'm glad this movie actually really did exactly that, hands down, which, yeah, I guess to me is probably, I think, the strongest I've actually pretty much seen throughout the course of this movie, hands down, and I was actually fully engaged. But yeah, I guess pretty much on that thought, that's actually one of the more reasons why I really do admire the characters and the actors playing them, hands down. They actually really nailed it, hands down, and I'm really impressed with, of course, what I've actually seen, hands down. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alrighty. Alright, so now that I've got those two out of the way, what else is there for me to talk about? Well, quite fitting enough, seeing how it is a horror movie, I think pretty much the two aspects that I always look forward to talking to whenever I talk about a horror movie is, of course, both the tone and the atmosphere, hands down. So yeah, literally, if anything, the tone and the atmosphere in this movie, I will admit, it's ironically almost kind of similar to, of course, the previous films, hands down, but that's actually one of the aspects I really do love about the pretty much not just this film, but all the other Saw movies that came out beforehand. It actually does utilize the toning atmosphere actually quite well, hands down. Almost like you would find yourself in that kind of similar situation that our characters are, of course, going through, hands down. So yeah, I say that actually does work quite well for me, and I think this movie really did an incredible job in setting up the toning atmosphere, hands down. And of course the visuals and the effects, and of course this one is just, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably not the best I've seen, but still done pretty well, hands down. Most of the effects are actually done practically, hands down, with of course a little bit of digital effects mixed in with it, mixing a little bit, to which, yeah, I won't lie, it actually, pretty much, actually does work well, and I'm glad it does it in a way where I couldn't notice it, hands down, for sure, to which, yeah, is actually really incredible, like, of course, pretty much the death traps that these films actually showed off, hands down, they actually are very creative, hands down, and I do find myself really scared, and of course, clenching myself just because of how intense they can be, hands down, and of course, the amount of deaths and stuff, hands down, is actually very impactful entirely, hands down, and I really do feel like they actually died, hands down, for sure, and let's not forget to mention a few good other aspects of course, pretty much for this film that all the other Saw movies, hands down, is of course some menial tasks and stuff during John Kramer's pretty much games for sure, which consists of trying to kill off another person or cut off another body part that you have, all leading to, of course, some really amount of intense blood and gore they actually, yeah, pretty much the amount of blood that they show off, and of course some really gory imagery, hands down, to which, yeah, I do know in the past horror movies, hands down, they really did find a way to be creative with the amount of blood and violence and gore for sure. And of course, in the case of the Saw movies, they actually really went over the top, of course, all the blood and gore, hands down, to a point where it's actually really disturbing. In fact, I still recall, I think, pretty much, if anything, pretty much the blood and gore in all the other Saw movies is so intense, I nearly puked, hands down, to which, yeah. I'm pretty sure we all had that feeling whenever we seen any of the previous Saw movies, hands down, so... But in the case of this movie, they did showcase all of that, but thankfully with the time to take to establish its story and characters, it's a little bit more reduced down for sure. Not by much, but still a little reduced down, hands down, but still actually done just fine, hands down, to which, yeah, if anything, it still doesn't excuse for the fact that when I actually saw this movie, I had to look away, hands down, just so that I won't be able to see it, hands down, but I still think they did a fine job regardless. I mean, yeah, it could have been reduced down a whole lot more entirely just to save people from being a whole lot more squeamish, hands down, but hey, I still think it's done fine nevertheless, So yeah, that's what I can say on, of course, that aspect. Okay. Alright, so where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, pretty much going back on topic, the direction in this film by the film's director, yeah, I mean, well, I will have to say, it's not the best I've actually seen, but it's done alright for the most part. In fact, I know the director of this film did have a bit of struggles here and there, but I guess in the case of this film, it's fine for what it is, hands down, so yeah, and of course, the cinematography in this film, again, it's actually done pretty decent, hands down, with some alright camera shots that I've came to expect from, of course, these films, hands down, so yeah, and of course, the editing, I have to say, again, it's actually cut up fine entirely, but again, not really the best I've actually seen, but it's still okay to say the least, so yeah, I guess pretty much of anything, that's pretty much what I can say for, of course, this, pretty much all the aspects for, of course, this movie. Some of them are done alright, could have used a little bit more tweaking here and there, but the rest are still done good nevertheless, hands down, so yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have to say, hands down, so yeah, overall, Saw X, for while I don't think it's necessarily one of the best films I've seen entirely for, of course, this year, I do think it is actually a really good movie, hands down, for sure. Pretty much all the other Saw sequels pretty much got wrong. This movie actually got right, hands down, for sure. It does, of course, it pretty much does what it needs to do, hands down, and it actually does result in a pretty good time, to say the least. In fact, if anything, for of course, if I were to rank this movie alongside all the other Saw films, hands down, I say this is probably the best one next to the first film, hands down, so yeah. Pretty much as a movie on its own, not one of the best I've seen, but still done pretty good, but definitely the best since the first Saw movie in terms of all these movies, hands down, and yeah, I think that's probably the best way I can describe it, hands down. I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of my favorites. In fact, if anything, it doesn't change my mind on, of course, the Saw films being my all-time favorite in terms of horror, but I think this movie really did a fine job, nevertheless, hands down, so yeah, only time will tell if there will be another Saw movie that might come on the way, hands down, but hey, if another one doesn't come around, then I say this film is, of course, pretty much the perfect swan song, hands down, to which, yeah, well over 10 movies in, I think we've probably had enough of those, hands down, So, yeah, I guess if anything, if you actually got the time, and if you are a big fan of the Saw movies, hands down, and want something really scary to see this Halloween, then I say this is a pretty good one to check out, hands down. I know you probably won't get much, but I still think you will probably get a pretty good movie, hands down, for sure. Not the best I've seen this year, but truly a great one out of all the Saw movies, hands down, since the first one, hands down. And that is why, without any doubt in my mind, that I'm officially giving this movie a very solid, well, an 8 out of 10 as my final score, hands down. So yeah, definitely not one of the best I've actually seen this year, but it is actually a really good horror movie that's definitely well worth checking out, hands down. And trust me when I say that this is actually one game that you definitely will most certainly survive, hands down. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front.
Congratulations, you have survived. Most people are ungrateful to be alive, but not you. Not anymore.
Well, glad to see this Billy, the puppet that's sitting right beside me off camera, finally established that I've completed my game, hands down, to which, phew, glad I finally got that out of the way. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright, so I guess on that thought, that'll pretty much do exactly that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video, and by all means, let me know, let me know in the comment section below, on what you thought of Saw X, if you actually saw it. Do you actually really like it as much as I do, and you definitely prefer that all the other Saw sequels, or do you absolutely hate it and think it's on there with the other Saw sequels that came beforehand? Let me know what you guys think. I would love to know, hands down. So yeah, that'll pretty much do exactly that. Thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video, and well, seeing of how we're already in October as of now, I guess in terms of the next set of movies I'm going to see for, of course, this month, we're actually going to be selling on not one, but 2 movies from a certain, pretty much a certain movie studio that actually does specialize in horror movies, hands down. So if you get what I'm saying, that's good for you, and in case you don't, for next time, I'm of course going to be shooting for a massive double whammy with 2 movies coming out done by Blumhouse. And if you already know which ones I'm going to be seeing next time, good for you, hands down. So, but until that happens, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll definitely see you in the next video. And now, if you'll excuse me, I better get on out of here now that I've completed my game, and this Billy puppet is already laughing as we speak. So yeah, I'll definitely see you guys in the next thoughts video. So yeah, take care, guys. Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Feel free to like, comment, and share if you enjoy what you're seeing. If you like what you see here and want to see more videos coming up, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and switch on the notification bell to get notifications, and select all notifications to be notified for when we post a new video. And don't forget to switch on notifications on your phone as well. Also, don't forget to check out my second channel and our 2-member channel with Sam the Thomas Fan 1, SamAttack4427TheThomasFan1 Productions, for plenty more content you can't find on here. You can check both of our channels out with the links or by our handles provided on screen. Feel free to shoot me an email with my email address provided, backley95@hotmail.com, if you want to ask me a question, want to collab with me for a project you've got in the works, or if you want to book me to be featured for a convention coming up. Follow me on my social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with me on updates, announcements, and new releases of my videos, as well as plenty of others I've got with my handles provided, as well as the links down in the description box below. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok for other videos I've got aside from the ones I've posted on YouTube, and on Twitch for any future live streams I've got coming up soon, as well as join our official Discord server to see what we've provided. If you wish to show your support to me, then feel free to check out my Patreon to get sneak peeks of my videos coming up before they go up online, as well as getting access to updates and playing more, in addition to getting some awesome rewards within your budget. Also, don't forget to check out and showing support to me on both of my wish lists on Amazon and Right Stuff Anime, and even supporting me with my link on Streamlabs that you can find on my Twitch page. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Take care.